Foreign aid and NPR funds clears House as Senate battle looms, and Walmart distances itself from heiress's ad rallying anti-Trump protests. Israel launched a preemptive strike on Iran in the early morning hours of June 13th. The attack confirmed by Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz, who declared a state of emergency throughout the entire country. Following the state of Israel's preemptive strike against Iran, a missile and drone attack against the state of Israel and its civilian population is expected in the immediate future, he said. Therefore, and in accordance with his authority under the Civil Defense Law, Defense Minister Israel Katz has now signed a special order, according to which a special state of emergency will be imposed in the home front throughout the entire state of Israel. President Trump signed a trio of congressional resolutions ending California's restrictive rules for diesel engines and mandates on electric vehicle sales, with Trump celebrating that his signature will kill the California mandates forever. Under the previous administration, the federal government gave left-wing radicals in California dictatorial powers to control the future of the entire car industry over the country, all over the world, actually, Trump said on Thursday from the White House, adding they approved Governor Gavin Newsom's ridiculous plan to impose a 100% ban on all new gas-powered cars within a very short period of time. Think of this, you can't buy any other car except an electric-powered car, and in California they have blackouts and brownouts. They don't have enough electricity right now. The House of Representatives passed the president's $9.4 billion plan to set back federal funds for foreign aid, PBS, and NPR. The vote was 214 to 212, mostly along party lines, with no Democrats voting for the bill. Our quote of the day, our Lord wills that you cling to him alone. If your faith were greater, how much more peaceful you would be, even when great trials surround and oppress you. St. Paula Frassinetti. And coming up, our saint of the day, the first friar to teach theology to the other friars. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
You won't hear anything about Monday's coming or fruitcakes, but you will hear the most brutally honest Catholic-inspired commentary on Parrot Talk, weekdays after the KingDude at 2 Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Our saint of the day is Saint Anthony of Padua. His journey as a servant of God began as a very young man when he decided to join the Augustinians in Lisbon, giving up a future of wealth and power to be a servant of God. Later, when the bodies of the first Franciscan martyrs went through the Portuguese city where he was stationed, he again filled with an intense longing to be one of those closest to Jesus himself, those who die for the good news. So Anthony entered the Franciscan order and set out to preach to the Moors. But an illness prevented him from achieving that goal. He went to Italy and was stationed in a small hermitage where he spent most of his time praying, reading the scriptures, and doing menial tasks. The call of God came again at an ordination where no one was prepared to speak. The humble and obedient Anthony hesitantly accepted the task. His sermon was astounding to those who expected an unprepared speech and knew not the Spirit's power to give people words. Recognized as a great man of prayer and a great scripture and theology scholar, Anthony became the first friar to teach theology to the other friars, and soon he was called from a post to preach to the Albigensians in France, using his profound knowledge of scripture and theology to convert and reassure those who had been misled. He resumed preaching and began writing sermon notes to help other preachers, and in the spring of 1231, he withdrew to a friary where he had sort of a treehouse built as a hermitage, and there he prayed and prepared for death. He was named Doctor of the Church in 1946. Billionaire Walmart heiress Christy Walton faced backlash from the White House and avoidance by Walmart itself after she bought an ad appearing to call Americans across the country to protest against Donald Trump. Walton, one of the richest women in America, bought a full-page ad in the New York Times declaring "No Kings," referring to the No Kings organization that is coordinating hundreds of protests around the country against the Trump administration. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Radio Network News, seeking news and finding truth.
You won't hear anything about Monday's coming or fruitcakes, but you will hear the most brutally honest Catholic-inspired commentary on Parrot Talk. Weekdays after the KingDude at 2 Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
Well, looks like the war's getting good ratings. Got great ratings. Gee, how is it that the IDF and Mossad and the government of Israel are able to get real-time, near real-time, high-definition video of Iranians being blown to kingdom come to Fox News so they can broadcast it to all you warmongering popcorn chompers out there? That's kind of cool, man. What are you doing this afternoon? Oh, man, I'm going on to watch the war. Watch war. Folks, a lot has changed in the 2 hours since we left the airwaves. We'll tell you all about it. It's Mike Churchill on the Crusade Radio Network asking the Free Phone Friday question du jour.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
It's Free Phone Friday. And then you get all the women on the TV networks going on to talk about their love and joy of watching bombs go off. Yes, it is the Free Phone Friday. Yay! They are charged with the task telling us what it is we shall talk about on the program. Here's my telephone number, 844-527-8723. 844-5-CRUSADE. You know, the comedian George Carlin, I think, nailed this on the head 34 years ago.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the war in the Persian Gulf. Big doings in the Persian Gulf. You know my favorite part of that war? It's the first war we ever had that was on every channel plus cable. And the war got good ratings, too, didn't it? Got good ratings. Well, we like war. We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. And you know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war every 20 years in this country, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Can't build a decent car. Can't make a TV set or a VCR worth of Got no steel industry left. Can't educate our young people. Can't get health care to our old people. But we can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Huh? We can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Especially if your country is full of brown people. Oh, we like that, don't we? That's our hobby. That's our new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya, you got some brown people in your country. Tell them to watch the f*** out, or we'll goddamn bomb them. Well, when's the last white people you can remember that we bombed? Can you remember the last white? Can you remember any white people we've ever bombed? The Germans, those are the only ones, and that's only because they were trying to cut in on our action. They wanted to dominate the world. Bullshit, that's our f***ing job.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes, that's our job. So, an update here. The IDF and, Mossad is now beaming real-time HD pictures, because people like them pictures, to Fox News of a single solitary hole 3 feet or so in diameter, blown into the side of a high-rise apartment building. There it is. Maggie has it there. Purportedly to show the precision of their targeted weapons and that they took out an Iranian general leader with one shot, killed him in his bedroom. I mean, down to the square foot of the apartment and where to aim it so it blew the bedroom up. What if he was in the bathroom at the time? Now, this in comparison to the wholesale, full theater now, to the wholesale, indiscriminate leveling of whole buildings in Gaza to get one member of Hamas. Remember the Israelis, the IDF, saying that we had evidence that they were using children as human shields. So what did you do? We killed the children. You have evidence that one guy was using children and their mothers as human shields, and you killed the women and the children. Yes, but we took out the enemy Hamas. But you took out an entire apartment building filled with women and children. Yes, but we got a member, sinister, evil member of Hamas, a threat to the world. You could take a threat to the world out. You killed 250 women and children in a building and brought 6 stories down. It now looks like a half a story of rubble. We got to a leader of Hamas. But wait a minute. You said you had to take the whole building out to get a guy, but in Iran, you took a guy out in a bedroom. What in the hell is going on here? Well, the world is filled with lying liars, and apparently we are their allies now. You know, I never stopped working during the broadcast day for you people, folks. And proof of this, as soon as the program was concluded at 9 a.m. this morning, I went, well, let me go see. So I don't really have time to read some of my source material blogs during the course of the program. So let me go see if there's any new post in my email. And there was Coffee and COVID, Jeff Childers, Friday the 13th. By the way, today is a Friday the 13th, and not one person went, wait a minute, I got to do it right. You've obviously, Maggie, you've never seen any of the Friday the 13th movies.
Oh, yes, I have.
Oh, so you know then why you should have been laughing hysterically when I said, today is Jason's honor. It's Friday the 13th. It is also the feast day of St. Anthony of Padua. My grandmother Pearl used to call him Tony, Saint Tony. She'd lose something, she'd go, "Oh, Saint Tony, where did I put my," whatever the case may be. And she'd wander around the house, and sure enough, she'd go, up, there it is, thank you. And I've actually seen miracles. I don't need anyone to explain to me what a miracle is. I know what one is. I have actually seen miracles where St. Anthony of Padua has been appealed to, and for a lost item, an item that was completely lost. It Gong, G-O-N-G, gone. And a little 3-day novena to St. Anthony, or 3-day devotion to St. Anthony. I don't want someone to call me, "Novena's 9 days, you heretic," whatever. A 3-day devotion to St. Anthony. I'd say I saved us like 15 messages in the chat room.
It was incoming.
Dude, she was on the keyboard typing. She was... Sure, it's Friday. Can you tell? I might have to do a Jaeger shot during the bottom of the hour break. Seriously though, a 3-day novena or a 3-day devotion to Saint Anthony help us find this. And on the 3rd day, go into the bathroom, and the item that was prayed for was a key, a house key. And could not find the house key. Not only did St. Anthony find the house key, but St. Anthony found the house key with it on a little key ring, just to make sure that you saw that it was a house key. So I've actually seen St. Anthony miracles. Anyways, it's his feast day today, so enjoy the feast of St. Anthony of Padua. Okay, I want to take you back to Jeff Childers and coffee and COVID, because something is not adding up here. The NeoCONS and Decepticons are telling me that the Iranians are the biggest, baddest, most evil, sinister fighting force, second only to America's, on Earth. Why, the Quds forces are the Iranian Republican Guard. These are the most evil bastards. These guys, they rip men's throats out for fun. They have the technology, too. They got drones. They got anti-missile, ballistic missile batteries. They have anti-aircraft guns. They have an air force and a navy. And this is why they are the greatest threat to humanity that exists on Earth. This is what the NeoCONs say. Axis of evil. Iranian is the worst, most sinister evil. Well, Jeff Childers X's the question. If that's true, well, then can you explain to us, the rest of the world, how in the hell did 200 IDF bombers, is Kelly Lapidus in the chat?
Super high-tech jet fighters.
200 Israeli.
Super high-tech jet fighters.
How did they go from Israel, through Jordan, through Saudi Arabia, through Iraq, to get into Iran? That's 3 sovereignties' airspace. So are the Jordanians, the Saudi Arabians, and the Iraqis enemies of the Iranians now, too? I know that the Iraqis and the Iranians have been anciently at war, so that's not a surprise. Didn't know that this House of Saud had made alliances. And what is this, an episode of Survivor? Had made alliances with the Israelis. I certainly didn't know that the Jordanians, who are by and large peaceful people, that the Jordanians had made a deal with the Israelis, but apparently they have. And so he asks his question, how in the hell did 200 Israeli aircraft just happen to slink through hundreds upon hundreds of miles of airspace of 3 sovereign countries? Then they had to cross into Iran, where supposedly the Iranians have all of these batteries of Chinese-made anti-aircraft guns and detection systems and early warning systems and Doppler radar and everything else. So 200 of them traveled all that distance, flew into Iran, deep into Iran, and were able to evade all of the Iranian ground defenses, launch literally hundreds of missiles, bombs, and other ordnance in Iran, and while they're in Iran, and not one anti-aircraft Patriot missile, or in the spirit of a Patriot missile battery defense, not drones. They supposedly have a fleet of tens of thousands of the world's most sophisticated, diabolical, lethal drones, and not a single anti-aircraft battery or a drone laid a glove on the Israeli army. Not a single all indications are not a single shot was fired other than by the Israelis. Childers. Not only that, but Israel attacked military bases and nuclear sites all across Iran in multiple waves. In other words, 200 Israeli attack aircraft struck over 100 targets across a nation the size of Alaska, supposedly defended by one of the largest and most layered air defense systems in the Middle East. Inexplicably, Iran's air defense system stayed silent. They didn't just not fire and miss. They didn't even fire. They didn't get a shot off. Not a single Israeli fighter jet was damaged. In response, Iran only managed to launch around 100 drones, a lazy half hour's action in Ukraine, to no apparent effect. These drones, all downed long before they even neared Israel, could easily have been an automatic response, suggesting a total lack of any meaningful military response by the Iranians. The only explanation that makes any sense for Israel to enjoy clear skies over the entire country is that someone, somehow, inside Iran, somehow pulled the plug on the entirety of the country's air defenses right before the attack. If so, it was another catastrophic security failure by Israel's enemies. Does anyone believe that story? I'm not a military guy, I only play one on radio, but I have a hard time believing that. And by the way, Lindsey Graham and the rest of you neocons out there going, yeah, we got the evil Iranians. They don't look so bad. They don't even look like they're even capable of shooting a paper airplane down out of the sky. So why are they assessed as the world's greatest threat? If last night is any indication, these people are the Keystone Cops. These are the Harlem Globetrotters. These are the three stooges of armies. If I was an Iranian, I'd be completely and totally embarrassed. Not a single shot. That almost sounds to me like it was a coup of some sort. But we do have a statement from the Iranians threatening that there are going to be retaliations in the U.S. because it was behind it is going to pay. Well, I'll read you the statement by Trump, and then Trump gave an interview to Dana Bash of CNN where he's cracking jokes about it. Well, given the air defenses of the Iranians, maybe it is a joke. Maybe the whole thing is an AI stunt and never actually happened. The only explanation, this story is like strategic lasagna, says Childers. Peel off each layer of the strike to reveal another astonishing fact. For example, to get to Iran, the Israelis must have been aided by the Jordanians and allowed to use Saudi Arabian airspace. There's no way Israel's 200 jets crossed half of the Middle East without at least tacit approval from its neighbors. Wouldn't this then put the House of Saud, Jordan, and the Iraqis then also on the retaliation list? It shouldn't just be the United States then. Any country's airspace that they use to fly over.
Was that part of the reason Trump went?
I don't know. Maggie asked the question. What was your question?
My question was, is that part of the reason that Trump went abroad recently?
Okay, so he went over there to go line up support for
Netanyahu.
For the Netanyahu.
That would be some nefarious stuff if that was actually.
Well, you have to read Trump's statement that he that he gave to the Wall Street Journal, which did I leave it on the printer? I thought I printed it out. Oh, here it is. Let me finish with Childers. This means a whole lot of folks were involved, but Iran obviously had no idea it was coming. So we're supposed to be afraid of these guys. These are the axis of evil. They're coming here to kill us. They're now going to issue all manner of retaliatory strikes. Sleeper cells in the U.S. are going to be activated. The Quds Force is going to storm the beaches of San Diego. The entirety of the Middle Eastern world that surrounds them seems to then be in on this attack, and they knew nothing? Nothing?
Zero.
Oh, come on.
Zero.
If that's the case, I have a sailboat yacht or a sailboat docking lagoon in Tehran to sell you. Jordan probably even helped Israel by shooting down Iranian drones. A short, blurry statement from the Jordanians said, quote, it had intercepted a number of missiles and drones that were likely to fall in Jordanian territory, including populated areas, but did not specify where the drones and missiles came from, close quote. Pretty sure they came from Iran. But wait, there's more. For the last 48 hours, social media buzzed with warning signs. The U.S. closed its embassy in Iraq and withdrew personnel, as did other Middle Eastern countries. The airspaces were closed. Telegram hummed with predictions of an imminent Israeli attack. Yet many of Iran's generals and nuclear scientists were killed by targeted drone strikes while sleeping in their penthouse apartments? In their bedrooms, in other words, and not in their bunkers? What? And Childers says, what on earth? Even if Iran's leaders thought all the red flags were probably just a psyop to pressure upcoming nuclear talks scheduled for Sunday, why would it just stand down? I thought these people, Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin and the rest of them are out there, the Iranian anti-American regime. No, death to America. Pardon me after that, if I'm not so afraid. Even if Iran's leaders, why would it just stand down? That's beyond reckless. The reason you have a military is to prepare for attacks just like this one. The Iranian military's negligence beggars belief. I agree with you, Jeff. How could this possibly have happened? The Trump administration said it was aware of the attacks, but the U.S. did not participate. Early this morning, Trump posted on his Truth Social begging the Iranians to return to the negotiating table, reminding them that he tried to warn them and warning even more was coming. Well, I have the statement right here that he gave to the Wall Street Journal. I'll share that with you. He called, or Dana Bash from CNN called him and talked to him. And she's even telling, what's the guy's name on CNN? I know the face. And anyway, the guy that was at the news desk, she's telling him the story, and she goes, I can't believe what I'm about to tell you, but that's what he told me. We'll be back.
The Crusade Channel, your news, talk, and Fiorella file station. Fiorella reads and reviews so you can read and purchase with confidence. 9 to 10 a.m. every Monday on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
This is a pixel.
I'm Groot.
Now, Now, if you put a couple of million of these dudes together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 160 billion of them together, and you've got Nina Gaynor's A Garden for Mary children's book. But it doesn't smell like a book, and it'll burn teeny little holes in your kid's teeny little corneas. So is the pixel really their friend? I'm Groot. That's right, Groot. No. But the Founders Trading Post is their friend. And we have actual books with actual kind of kid-smelly pages and pictures, because kids lack in pictures. Plus, our little bookstore has everything the kids' parents expect. I'm Groot. Yep, we got the Beast and Butt rubs, but nope, there is no Helen Reddy played here.
Pick up a copy of Garden for Mary, plus dozens of other Catholic children's books titles at shop.mychurch.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, June the 13th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow was up 0.24%, the S&P 0.38%, NASDAQ was up 0.24%. In National Day calendars, today is National Movie Night. Movies have been bringing people together for over 100 years, and the stars and stories entertain us. It's also National Golf Cart Day and Wear Blue Day. That's always the first day before Father's Day. By wearing blue, you're saying you support the men in your life to lead a healthy lifestyle and you care about their well-being. It's National Random Acts of Light Day, Kitchen Klutzes of America Day, Blame Someone Else Day. It's Weed Your Garden Day and National Sewing Machine Day. Our quote of the day, our Lord wills that you cling to him alone. If your faith were greater, how much more peaceful you would be, even when great trials surround and oppress you. St. Paula Frassinetti. And our saint of the day, he wrote sermon notes to help other preachers. St. Anthony of Padua. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
You may not believe it, but Bram Stoker's Dracula may be a work of nonfiction. Hear it and other amazing tales on Turley's Believe It or Else, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
I'll always be there. And when you're in doubt, and when you're in danger, take a look all around, and I'll be there. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I promise. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will.
Welcome back. Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network on a free Friday. Yay! All right, I'm not quite sure the way some people think. So let me tell you who is a sponsor of this portion of the program. The Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. That's shop.mikechurch.com. You get this show for free. Hardly any of you that get all the 15, it's 20 hours a week. We broadcast free of charge on the Crusade Radio Network via Twitter and Rumble and YouBoob. We get this much in donations.
0.0.
Unless it's from someone that's already a Founders Pass member. And we get this much in subscriptions.
0.0.
And I've never seen one of you say anything about purchasing anything from our awesome store. So you spend this much in the store.
0.0.
Yeah, but I get free stuff on the Fox News on my cable television. That's not free. Your cable service isn't free. Neither are we. So you can shop in the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. Any purchase you make goes towards us. Keeping that light on, that's right there. That's brilliantly and beautifully illuminating my visage. The fiber optic line that comes in here, the cable line that comes in and delivers the phones, all that. All made and paid for by your purchases in the store at shop.mikechurch.com. Just go grab a bag of coffee, for heaven's sake, for our Capuchin Holy Roast, or buy a donation you can make in YouBoob while you're chatting right there on Rumble while you're chatting, or at crusadechannel.com/donate. That's /donate. And thank you in advance. Okay. I don't understand the way some people think. So can you play the Dana Bash clip? This guy on Twitter goes, that clip, KingDude, makes you hate the mainstream media that much more. I'm like, why? She didn't do anything wrong. All she did was call him. She called him and asked him a question, and this is CNN's senior political analyst, so I don't think that she deep-faked or made this up. So, and no, I don't like her, but she's been around for a long time, almost as long as I have. And she, almost all of those years with CNN as well. So Dana Bash said she called Trump this morning, and he told her this.
And Trump, what did he tell you?
Good morning, John. Yes, I mean, first question I had was about what his point of view is about the strike that Israel conducted, multiple strikes that Israel conducted last night. I know we were reporting real time that his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, released a statement simply saying that Israel informed the Trump administration about these strikes beforehand, but didn't say explicitly that the U.S. supported what Israel was doing. So that's how I started a very brief conversation. And he responded by saying, quote, "We, of course, support Israel, obviously, and supported it like nobody has ever supported it." And then he went on to say this: Iran should have listened to me when I said, I gave them, I don't know if you know this, but I gave them a 60-day warning, and today is day 61. And then he said they, meaning Iran, should now come to the table to make a deal before it's too late. And then he said something really noteworthy. He said, the people I was dealing with are dead, the hardliners, to which I just wanted to underscore. So what you're saying is Israel has now killed the people who you were dealing with. And he said very sarcastically, they didn't die of the flu. They didn't die of COVID. It was a brief conversation, but my takeaway was twofold. Number one, they are really hoping that instead of escalating the situation, which is what most people, our terrific reporters and analysts you've been talking to all morning, believe is possible, even probable.
So my analyst
he's hoping
says
that instead of that, this forces Iran to come to the table. We'll see if that's going to happen. He also, he made clear he understands that it could escalate, but he is hoping now that Israel has done what it's done, that it takes another turn and de-escalates.
So they're basically hoping that because they killed the main leaders, right, the military leaders, they kill the main military leaders, that they will be so in such disarray.
In chaos.
That they will have to come to the table. Is that what they're banking on?
I think that's
the military strategy here.
Well, let me summarize what you just heard by theorizing this. So if you get into a negotiation with Trump and he gives you a deadline and you ignore it, you get executed? Better Trump play that nobody said. He said, I gave him a 60-day deadline. 60 days. Today's day? Go ahead, say it. What is it? 61. I gave him 60 days. They didn't do it. I told him, You're not going to believe what's going to happen to you, okay? You're not going to believe it's going to be so terrible. Terrible doesn't even describe how awful it's going to be for you. That is a horrible calling card to be the guy that you want to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, look, I'll be the first, and I will go first. I will be the first to tell you, I have no love for Ahmadinejad, the Ayatollahs, the Iranian Republican Guard, the Iranian, basically the people that are imposing Sharia law. I'm to understand by people that have gone to Iran and that have Westerners that have gone, that most of the people in Iran aren't radical, Orthodox, Muslim nut jobs. Most of them are probably in an Iranian or a Persian form, pretty much like you and pretty much like me. And the United States foisted the Shah, and then the Shah, through his stupidity, the United States undid the election of Mossadegh. Mossadegh was democratically elected, I think in like 1958 or whenever it was, or 1968. And the CIA went in and basically kidnapped Mossadegh and brought him to Paris and installed the Shah, Pravarian Rosario, whatever the hell his name was. They installed the Shah. People of Iran go like, dude, what are you doing? We elected a Mossadegh guy. And by all indications, but Mossadegh was going to be a friend of the Iranian people, and was one of the things that he ran on was in modernizing or in kind of being the bridge between the people of Persia, the ancient people of Persia, and the West, and that they would they would enjoy all kind of economic benefits and what have you. You have to remember, and this again, I talk about this many times. I've talked about this. You can go and you can do a Google search. Prove me wrong. You won't be able to, so I'm going to save you the time. But if you want to, just go do it. Go do a Google search and search for Tehran or Iran 1960s. I'm going to tell you what you're going to find. You're going to find photo spreads in several magazines, including Time Life magazine, of Americans on holiday in Tehran and in Baghdad. And you're going to see that the Iranian women's fashions pretty much mirror the fashions of the women in the West. They had dress shops. They were coming around in a miniskirt. They had the hairstyles, the whole shebang. Now, that does not suggest an ancient Iranian Sharia law, women cover from their head all the way to their toes in burqas. That does not suggest that, and the photographic evidence and the eyewitness accounts at the time say pretty much that, look, Bob Hope used to make movies about this. Same thing is true for Baghdad. These were not radical Muslim nutcases, and these were not countries that were agitating for what they call a caliphate. Now, the Ottomans never stopped agitating for a caliphate. You know, Persia is not completely Muslim. There's a lot of Jews in Persia. Do you know that? There's a lot of Christians and Catholics in Persia. So the idea here that the Iranians have always been this radical sect of weirdos and lunatics that practice Sharia law and that are deaf to America, that's just not. Look, Maggie, you found a picture, the first one you found. Put it in the chat room. 1976. This is just not, it's simply not. I am in the business of truth. Right there, chat room, crusadechannel.com/chat for all of you that can be bothered to go into the chat room. That is a photograph from Tehran in 1976. This is obviously before the installation of the Ayatollah and the capture of the Iranian assembly and turning it into the Iranian regime that they have today. There's a picture of Iranian women and men on a beach. 1972 doesn't look very Sharia law-y and stuff to me. So I just want you to be a problem. When you start cheerleading that, like, death to all Iranians, and they want to all kill us, no, they don't. Now, there may be, I'm sure that there is a radical Muslim sect, and there are plenty of radical or Orthodox Muslims, as I like to call them, that are there, that do say death to America. They also say death to England. They say death to any country in the West that doesn't want to convert to Islam. That's just what they do, and they've been doing it since Muhammad, since the 9th century. Nothing new under the sun. But the idea here that there have always been Iranians that have always wanted to kill us, no, that's just not true. That's not true. So in any event, I point that out. There's 1970. There's men in Tehran. And look at the guy standing in the distance there. He's got a traditional Muslim tunic on. But even underneath the tunic, he's got a pair of jeans. Look what the guy's got under the tunic. I looked this up today on your behalf, and I'm going to tell you what Trump said about this. They're all on there. Jim Jordan was like, the Israelis have a right to defend themselves. Who's threatening them? These people didn't get a shot off. They didn't get a ballistic missile off against 200 enemy aircraft that were flying. We're just doing flying lessons all over Iran for 6 hours last night. You know, you can't have it both ways. You can't have Trump going on, this is the most successful mission ever in the history of successful missions. And then in the next breath saying the Iranians can't be allowed to have a nuke. They're just too powerful. And they're too well military equipped. And they're a threat to the world. They're a threat to the world. This is from the book Paralipomenon. How old is Persia? I said it dates back to the Book of Kings. I was correct. 1, 2, 3, 4 Kings, and then Paralipomenon 1 and 2, or Chronicles. You could say Chronicles. Let me copy this, and I'll paste it into the chat room. That's what that says. I bring this up because King of Persia, of the Persians, of the Persians, of the Persians. They're in the Bible, is the point. They're in the very Old Testament. This is an ancient civilization. Why don't they have a right to exist? And why is the West, and why is now the President of the United States kind of intimating in the entirety, or most of the U.S. Congress and the Senate, kind of intimating that only the Israelis have a right to exist? How come the Persians, who are here in the Old Testament, why don't they have a right to exist? Now, I'm not saying they have a right to make nuclear war in the world. I'm saying they have a right to exist. They're humans. This is what Trump says to the Wall Street Journal, which is completely beguiling. I don't understand it. Ask what kind of a heads up the U.S. got. And so Wall Street Journal called him after Dana Bash. Ask what kind of a heads up the U.S. got ahead of the attack. Trump said in a brief phone interview this morning, quote, heads up. It wasn't a heads up. It was, we know what's going on, okay? President, close quote, President said he spoke with Netanyahu on Thursday, that's yesterday, plans to speak to him again today. He called the operation, quote, these are quotes now, a very successful attack, to put it mildly. A very successful attack, to put it mildly. So you're getting real-time reports from the IDF and the Israelis. This stinks to high heaven. I don't like it. I don't like that. We had to go in and take the Iraqis. Now, maybe there's intelligence that's out there. I've never seen it. In 25 years of these jerks being agitating for this, I have never seen the intel that says that the Iranians have a nuke. Maybe they bought one from the Russians. I don't know. I know that the Israelis and then the CIA have pretty much assassinated every major Iranian nuclear physicist scientist or scientist. Trump continues. I told the other side, I said, you have 60 days to make the deal. On the 61st day, they attacked. Today is 61, actually. And it was a very successful attack. This is a quote now. They should have made a deal, and they can still make a deal while they have something left. They still can. And then he said this, quote, I think ultimately it would be great for the market because Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. It would be great for the market. Should be the greatest thing ever for the market. Iran won't have a nuclear weapon. That was a great threat to humanity. How do you know these people even know how to launch a weapon? 200 plus sorties traveling 1,300 miles in the dead of night, and not a single solitary anti-aircraft battery of the Iranians gets a single shot off, and the entirety of the Israeli Air Force goes in, flies around, does loop-de-loop, stops and has cotton candy with the children, gets back on the airplane, hey, poses for selfies while they're flying, and then flies back to Israel unharmed, untouched. Not a single bullet laid on the entire invasion mission. Now, as I said earlier, you can't have it both ways. Which is it? Are these the most terrifying, vicious, bloodthirsty, well-equipped military in the world that we're all supposed to be terrified of? And yet the Israelis took out the entirety of all of their nuclear capabilities in one night without a single shot being fired in return? Now, either the entirety of the Iranian Guard and the Iranian army and the Iranian leadership, either they're all in on this, or this possibility is complete and total military incompetence, or what some people are on X, and I don't buy some of this crap that I read on X. Some of what it says on X is that the Israelis over the last 2 years have been building their own drone launch sites in Iran. Now, wait a minute. This is the most advanced, most horrifying, most terrifying, lethal military in the world, and you just walked in there and you built your own base? And you launched your drones from inside Iran? I want people to think about this. How long ago was this? Just 2 hours ago. Yeah. Just in, Iran calls Trump, says NBC supposedly. Just in, Pentagon orders destroyers, including USS Thomas Hudner, toward the Eastern Mediterranean. Just in, Trump to convene Security Council. Actually, that is happening right now. In Situation Room in 1 hour. So, I'm just going to leave all this here because I don't know. I don't like the whole thing. I don't like the bravado of threatening people across the world with U.S. military might. I don't like bragging about it. There's footage that's running on all the news networks today of high-rise buildings in Iran that didn't get a missile through a 3-foot hole, where 10, 12 floors of buildings are on fire. That tells me that there are 10 to 12 floors of dead people. Very likely dead people. What did they do to Trump and Israel? I don't know. There is the video, we played it earlier, of what looks to be a nuclear plant in Bushehr, or Bushehr, however you pronounce it, a coastal city on the whatever sea that it. How come they don't have that sea marked that Tehran is on? I think that's the Persian Gulf, actually, on the Persian Gulf. If we detonated a Moab ordnance and took out a nuke facility or a nuclear plant, there's going to be radiological fallout from that. That would kill a bunch of people too. And the Iranians did absolutely nothing about it. There was not a single anti-missile air battery to protect a nuclear power plant. But yet these people were supposedly developing a sophisticated nuclear bomb. I'm sorry, I don't believe you. Unless the Iranians went, oh, let us let them bomb us back to the Stone Age, back to Babylon. They will think that we have no capability, that we are stupid. Maybe, I don't know. I do want to play Karen Bass. Can you get Karen Bass off of my Twitter before we get out of here? Commie Karen Bass. This is just, now, as soon as she put this out, the Department of Homeland Security came right behind him and went, lie. This is not true.
We are a city of labor. We are a city of businesses. We are a city of faith. We are a city of believers, and we are a city of dreamers.
You're a city of nightmares, ma'am.
So let's just remember why we are here today. Last Thursday, ICE entered our city and provoked the city by chasing people through Home Depots and car washes and showing up at schools, and today showing up at emergency rooms and homeless shelters.
All right, stop the tape. Stop the tape. Soon as she said that, Homeland Security is watching this. Christy knows people immediately treat right out underneath. Not true. Not true. ICE is not in an emergency room, and we have not gone on the grounds of a single solitary room. Where do they keep getting this? They're going. They're going to the homes. They're going to the Home Depots, and they're going to the schools, and now the homeless shelters and the ERs. Not true. And by the way, they continue to make it sound like these ICE agents, again, are extras out of a World War II war movie. They have swastikas on their sleeves. They're in black leather, and they are looking for innocent Angelinas to just round up, beat, kill, rape, and maim. Blah 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 blah. It's folks. Pray for peace. San Anthony of Padua, please pray for us. Have a safe and blessed weekend. Join us, my friends, listening and watching on the Crusade Radio Network. CrusadeChannel.com/join. Shop in the store. MikeChurch.com/shop. See you Monday. God bless you. Mary keep you.